Dinner had already cooled by the time my father cleared his throat and delivered the verdict. "Your brother's moving into your apartment," he said, like he just read it off a menu. "He needs space, and you owe family." I blinked, studying the plate in front of me. The roast was dry, the peas overcooked. Their words had the same texture, stale, unavoidable, routine. My brother smirked, leaning back, elbow brushing the table. "Try not to touch my stuff," he said, as if the threat were a joke. I watched him, noting the tilt of his head, the confidence that came from never expecting resistance. Everyone laughed softly. I didn't. The funny thing was, I wasn't surprised. Not by him, not by my father, not by this family ritual of entitlement masquerading as love. Weeks ago, I had quietly packed boxes, folded my life into cardboard and plastic, and left. The apartment had been mine in name only, and now it wasn't. The lease was terminated, paperwork filed under my name, legal, irrefutable. I smiled at the table. They read compliance into my expression. My brother thought he'd won. My father thought I was considering sacrifice. My mother, silent as always, thought I was humoring them. None of them knew I had already walked away, already removed myself from the equation. I did not speak. I didn't need to. After dinner, the conversation spiraled into the usual. "You could at least help him move in this weekend," my father said, looking at me with the same expectation he always did. "Family comes first." I nodded lightly, letting the silence behind my eyes do the work. My presence at the table was enough to suggest agreement. Later, my brother mentioned the apartment again, trying to sound threatening, testing boundaries. "Don't let my stuff get damaged." I smiled again. Inside, I was elsewhere, visualizing the lock turning, the key no longer mine, the boxes I'd already loaded in the moving van, the documents confirming my exit from a space I had no intention of ceding further. Weeks passed. Calls came from the landlord, brief and polite, asking for access. The first time my father called me, it was out of confusion. "Did you move?" he asked, voice tight. "We weren't expecting this." I said nothing except the bare facts, calmly, professionally. "Yes, lease is terminated. Apartment vacated. All obligations cleared." There was a pause, a stammer, frustration. The unspoken words, "You owe us," hung in the line, but I let them. I didn't add explanation, apology, or defense. The authority of bureaucracy did what my family never could. No argument could override signed papers. No shouting could undo completed forms. The no casual entitlement could reclaim what was no longer theirs. The shift was silent, but undeniable. Emotionally, I felt strange relief. No rush of triumph. No giddy pleasure in seeing my brother's confident smirk falter over the phone. Just a quiet certainty that my boundaries now existed without question, without negotiation, without spectacle. Family gatherings changed subtly after that. My father's tone carried a new caution. My brother's jokes sometimes stalled mid-laugh. I was still present, still polite, but no longer in the orbit of expectation. I could choose my proximity. I could leave when the room grew tight with obligation. I sometimes caught myself thinking about the apartment, the space I had once called mine. It wasn't about the square footage, the view, or the lease itself. It was about control, about recognition of self. I had acted before anger, before resentment could dictate my choice. I had acted in calm, in preparation, there in deliberate detachment. There were no dramatic confrontations, no grand reveal at the dinner table. Only the paperwork, the van, and the quiet enforcement of choice. The family's understanding lagged, as it always does. They assumed emotion would follow action, but I had learned otherwise. I moved into a smaller place. Less convenient, less visible. The walls were bare, the furniture mismatched. But the weight of expectation was gone, and in that quiet, stripped-down reality, I could breathe. Some nights, my mother called. I answered. Some nights, my father left a voicemail. I listened. My brother sent a message, short, testing, like a cat tapping at a closed door. I didn't respond. Control had shifted imperceptibly, legally, silently. Authority, paper, signatures, process had intervened where emotion had failed. And I, for once, was aligned with the consequences rather than the chaos. I had not humiliated them. I had not punished them. I had not sought applause. I had merely acted. That, I realized, was enough. The apartment was gone. The lease terminated. The family still present, still demanding, still oblivious to how I had moved ahead of them. And for the first time, I moved freely.